Hey guys, welcome back to the Virginia Living Museum QuaranStream. We're here at World Otter Day with the Virginia Living Museum otters, Molly and Mo. Sorry about the delay. We had a couple of technology issues on our end, but they are resolved now, so hopefully you should be able to enjoy all of the otterly adorable cuteness. So this is Mo and Molly, our pair of North American river otters. They are the only otters we have here at the museum, but as it is World Otter Day, we figured we'd share some otterly awesome facts with you guys, and don't forget all the puns that go with it, such as you otter know. So this really is for all the dads in the audience out there. I know my dad would appreciate this. So right now the otters are chowing down on a pile of ice, which they actually do really enjoy, crunching on the ice there. We've also made them some really fun and interesting balls out of ice treats as well, so you can actually get a special ice cube maker at the store. I think it's for fancy cocktails or really fancy otters, as well as some giant hearts, lots of little colored cubes and things like that. And for all those moms out there, the otters that you see now are actually chewing on ice that's made with all natural food coloring. So it's made from natural dyes and comes in a powder form. I've used them on ice treats tons of times before, never had problems with them. So it just kind of gets rid of that artificial element, and it gives us the power to make our ice treats really colorful and pretty for the otters. And it's lots of fun for us to do together. So you can see they're digging through the ice there, which is a natural behavior. Obviously, these guys are not from the Arctic area, so they wouldn't naturally be digging through ice, but they do like to dig when they're looking for maybe grubs. They're gonna push rocks aside. You can see over there on the right, we're using our nose a little bit to move some stuff. And they can obviously move things that are about just as heavy as they are, because I would say that block of ice is about 10 pounds. And these guys weigh around 20-ish pounds or so. And they're gonna find little bits of their midday diet in there. So today they're getting a little bit of fish. You guys might have seen the photo that went up earlier of them chowing down on some enrichment that had a fish frozen in it. And that's another way that we can offer their diet to them. And if you guys tuned in this morning, you heard that the reason we do things like this, which is enrichment and training sessions with the otters and all the animals here at the museum, is because we like to give them the power to manipulate their environment. We like to change up their day. We like to let them choose different things to play with, different ways to eat, because otherwise it would just be boring. So anybody who's at home stuck in quarantine, you guys know that feeling. So we don't want to make the day boring for the otters or any of our other animals. We want to make it as exciting and interesting as possible. And then that way they can just have a lazy, chill day on a different day. This has been a really fun day for the otters. They've been getting lots of attention today, which of course they like, as they miss all of you guys very much. Our otters like people just as much as you guys like our otters. They do miss seeing people at the window, so we do find when we have any kind of volunteers or anyone else that's on site walking past the window, they do get pretty excited to see everybody go by. So even if they don't know them, they still get very excited. So they'll be super excited to see you guys come back. I like that use of an ice treat as a table. Very inventive. If you guys have any questions about our North American river otter pair, Mo and Molly, please leave it in the comments. If we don't get to it now, definitely drop back in with an answer later. Or just otters in general. There's many different species of otters around the world. What are you doing, Goof? And most of them are extremely playful, which they're going to show you a little bit of right now. Otters exist on every continent, except for Australia and Antarctica. That's really fun. Let's see if we can get a close-up of that. I'm actually gonna take the camera off the mount, so mind the shakiness for a second there. Let's see if we can get a nice close-up of that utterly adorable action. I think we have officially drowned that particular ice treat. Now this one's going in the water too. There you go. So you guys can see that there's actually fish in that ice treat. And so we're gonna use our brain a little bit here. So she knows that the harder that she works it, and the more that melts off, because she's gotten ice treats before, she'll be able to get those fish out. Gray wants to know, how fast can they swim? Gray, that's a really great question. I think you were watching our feed this morning as well. These guys can swim up to probably about 20 miles an hour, but average they're gonna, well, I'm sorry, they can run up to 20 miles an hour, but their average swimming speed is only about 7 or 8 miles an hour. If you guys want to check out some more fun facts about otters, we actually have them up on Instagram and Facebook, I believe. We did a little bit this morning about fun facts about otters, and this afternoon we're going to be doing some fun facts about different otter species from around the world. Callie, age 5, asks, what kind of fish do they like to eat? So right now it looks like they're eating some smelt. Oh my goodness, that's too adorable. Even as, you know, we're their keepers, we still think everything they do is really, really cute, and we have so much fun putting together their enrichment for them as well. So they eat smelt, they'll eat herring, capelin, sardines, they really like ballyhoo and a couple other things we have. They get rainbow trout as well. We like to keep it nice and diverse for them. But funny enough, we actually give these guys carrots and sweet potatoes too. They're actually not omnivores, they're only carnivores or piscivores, which is always a fun word to use. That means you're a fish eater. We give them those as kind of a little bit of fiber, helps keep them regular. So fun fact for any otter appreciators out there. And we do get a generous donation from Sam Russ Seafood of a lot of the food that we use for many of our animals, including otters here at the museum. So thanks for Sam Rust, as always, for keeping our animals well fed. You guys can see we did a little bit more visual enrichment down there at the window with some markers. It says Happy World Otter Day, and then we've done some little drawings on there as well. So maybe they'll appreciate that after they're done with their ice treats. Look at that glamour shot right there. Fabulous. Kat wants to know, do otters eat fruit? And the answer is, oops, sorry about that. The answer is no, they do not. So our otters don't like fruit. Well, we've given them apples before. They're not a super big fan. It's kind of hit or miss with them. But yeah, they're not super big fan of that. We could potentially give them some kind of like a pumpkin or maybe a melon, but they more than likely would just play with it in the pool. And see, now that that ice treat is all out of fish, she's gonna come back check and be like, well, that's boring. So mission accomplished. Got her to play a little bit with her food. Crystal wants to know if they eat insects, and they absolutely can. North American, whoops, sorry, you don't want to see my face, you want to see the otters. North American river otters are actually one of the more diverse in their diet of all the different otter species. These guys will eat fish, crustaceans, amphibians, small birds, eggs, insects, even occasionally small mammals, such as like a rabbit or a squirrel. But not too often on that. Whereas other otters around the world primarily eat more fish and crustaceans. So that could be one of the reasons why these guys are actually doing quite well compared to the other otter species. Almost all of them are threatened or near threatened or endangered, whereas the North American river otters are actually doing just fine. So we have we actually have a whole bunch of our keepers here. Keepers, wave hi. Ooh, it's very zoomed in. So these are a whole bunch of our keepers. We have our training enrichment coordinator, all of our bird and mammal keepers that are working today. So I have some questions for you guys. How do you tell them apart?
Mo has a mustache.
So we said Mo has a mustache.
If you come in and see him at the window, the otter that has a dark spot on his lip, that's Mo. So Mo has a mustache.
You got a mustache, beauty mark, anything like that. And I'll leave this for you moms and dads at home. You can tell them apart because one is very obviously a boy. So you can enjoy explaining that should you so choose.
And ironically, the female Molly is a little bit larger than Mo, and that's unusual. Usually the males are a little bit larger, but they're from different areas originally, so she just happens to be a large girl. She's a little longer.
Kat says, I've seen an otter eat a duck, and that is entirely possible. Our guys don't really enjoy kind of those different prey items, like we've offered chicks, quail, things like that, and they don't really care for them. You guys can see they're using all their senses, their sense of touch. Oh my goodness. Anybody who's using their phone, I hope you're getting really good shots of this. They're using their sense of smell, looking for all that yummy fish. Obviously they can swim, which is not a sense. Probably they're going to use a little bit of their sense of hearing to keep an ear on what the other otter is doing. These guys are very playful. They're extremely social. And they always like to know what the other one is doing. probably the most active live stream that we've ever done. So I apologize if the camera's a little shaky. I'm trying to keep up with everybody. So it looks like the otters have figured out a really new fun party trick. Next time you guys are at a pool party, highly recommend you take an ice cube and you roll it into the pool with your nose. Apparently that's a hit here. You guys can see there's a boat buoy all the way out in the corner there by where one of the otters is sitting. And that's another form of enrichment. We offer them different kind of balls, buoys, frisbees, and that way they can manipulate and play with them. Alexis wants to know is, do they have predators? That's a really great question as well. So these guys could be susceptible to different predators. It depends on the part of the country that they're in. Puma, lynx, even some jaguars down over by the Mexican-Texas border, if they're in that area. Alligators in the south. Really just about anything, especially when they're quite a bit smaller. So these guys are between 20 and 30 pounds. But if they're pups, they're only a couple pounds each, and they are in the water pretty quickly. They do have to be taught to swim, which is kind of hilarious. Could be kind of a nice snack for really anybody. So these guys, while they're doing well in the wild, they can certainly have many different predators. So here we have, who's that, Molly?
Yeah.
That's Molly doing her best impression of a sea otter. It's probably the only time you'll ever see her sitting on her back like that. So that's a really good way to tell sea otters apart from a river otter. These guys, you can see they're very agile. They almost look like little ferrets in the water because they are related to ferrets. Whereas sea otters are very agile in the water, but they can be actually up to about 100 pounds each. I would say more so averaging between 70 and 80. And you usually see them resting on their back out in the ocean. That's where sometimes you've seen them maybe holding hands. They have a pup on their belly. Kat wants to know, do otters have a rival species? So that, I don't think so. These guys are in a pretty unique sector of the ecosystem. So especially in this part of the country, so we're here in Virginia, it's the central eastern seaboard, I guess. And with them being in the river and going after different fish and things like that, really only their kind of rivals or competition would be any other animal that's going for the same food items that they're going for. So anything else that eats fish. Obviously people can be considered a rival then. And that actually is one of their concerns around the world, is that otters can actually take fish out of areas that people like to fish in. So loss of habitat, loss of prey species, things like that. So I'd say actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that we are their highest competition out in the wild. Otters around the world, including these guys, are losing habitat due to pollution, habitat loss, draining of rivers and lakes to make dams, as well as just general climate change. That behavior you're seeing there is actually really interesting. I know that it looks like it's the world's rudest otter, chewing with her mouth open and her head thrown back. No, she's not doing it right now, but she'll do it in just a second there. There we go, very rude otter. They actually cannot rip and bite their prey the way that we do. So they'll actually take a big bite and then they'll throw it to the back of their mouth, chew it really obnoxiously, and then swallow it. So they always look a little ridiculous. I'm gonna play some otter soccer again. Just a reminder for any of you guys that are looking to get some really interesting stuff, our virtual conservation event is now underway. You can check out all the details in the comments there. We're having a virtual Otterball this year, which is typically our biggest fundraiser of the year, to be able to help support the running of this museum. We are a nonprofit. We are not funded by any state or federal agencies. We survive solely by you guys. So you guys coming and visit, you guys donating, spending money in our gift shop, the cafe, all of that. That is what really helps us stay alive. So if you guys pay attention down in the comments there, you can get all that information. So I would say that was a pretty successful enrichment session for these guys. Keepers, what do we think?
It went great.
Awesome.
They had a lot of fun.
So again, we want to thank you guys for joining us on World Otter Day. What is now the most boring pile of melting ice, apparently. They'll continue to play with that stuff probably for the rest of the afternoon.
I will say we're pretty excited about those ice balls because it gives them a good variety of things to do. They're fun to roll. You saw Molly pushing one quite a bit, and there's Mo doing one with his nose now. And it's cold, so it's something nice for the summertime. And then it's also got food in it. So we love enrichment items that can create a lot of different behavior. Those are a hit.
So we have a couple questions about the enrichment that the animals get here that I'll answer just before we wrap up. So one of the questions was, do they get enrichment every day at the museum? So they absolutely do. A lot of our carnivores especially will get enrichment every single day, as well as our raccoons, otters, and some other animals. And then different animals will get enrichment a couple of times a week. So we'll talk about birds of prey, our reptiles, things like that. It's very, very species specific. And there's many, oh my goodness, sorry. There's many different kinds of enrichment. Sorry, we're trying to keep you guys in the loop of all the cute things we're seeing too. There's many different kinds of enrichment that animals can get. They can get things that are food, that are tactile, that are objects. So you can see right here, this is like a tactile food enrichment because it requires them to use their senses, as well as they get a little food snack in there as well. And then a lot of people want to know, why don't we give our animals toys? So you kind of look at this exhibit and it doesn't look too exciting if you're a person, I suppose. So all of the toys that we give our animals here are species specific. We want to be eliciting or having them do species specific behaviors. So even if we threw like a soccer ball in there, the behavior that they would do with the soccer ball is probably push it around similar to what we would do. But we have to be concerned about things that are safe for them. They don't know that a soccer ball is not food and that you're not actually supposed to eat a soccer ball. So they would probably try to crack it open and see if there were snacks inside, which there would not be. So we want to make sure that they're getting species appropriate enrichment, as well as things that stimulate that natural behavior like you guys are seeing now. So imagine that those balls are actually fish out in the wild that they're chasing. And they obviously know they get a pretty regular meal here, so they don't have to worry about catching their food, which is great. Although occasionally we do give them fresh fish, live fish, and they do have lots of fun with that. So all right guys, we're gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining us on World Otter Day and for checking out all of our natural education on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for all you cool cats and kittens out there. You guys want to join us tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Looks like we're going to have a live feeding at the lizard exhibit, so you'll be able to join our herpetology staff there. And then, of course, if you guys want to contribute to our emergency operating fund, you can check out the VLM.org, any of our Facebook posts, and then you can check out Otterball as well. We hope you guys have had a wonderful World Otter Day. Thank you so much for coming to celebrate with us, and we hope that we can see you back here soon.